We're good? Okay, everyone. Welcome to our September general membership meeting. The folks in the room you may have deja vu a little bit, but we just want to welcome the folks who are watching remotely on YouTube Live. Apologize for getting started a little late. We typically get some of our housekeeping items done prior to bringing the YouTube Live folks on, so I appreciate that. So we're going to speak a little bit tonight, and then towards the end we will have a question and answer period for folks who may have any questions that they want to discuss. And you might have something on your mind that you want to hear from us about. So that's a main part of this, a main reason for this meeting. So if you don't have any questions, just think about them now, or if you want to ask something, just write it down or whatever have you. And we will also do some raffles at the end of the meeting as well, what we typically do at our general membership meeting. You don't have to be here in person to enter the raffle, but you do have to type in the comments your name and your store number, where you're from, okay? Name, company, store number. Folks that are watching on YouTube Live, that is not only is that a record of your attendance, but is also your ticket into the raffles for tonight. So we've got a bunch of gift cards that we will be raffling off. So please, the folks that are watching on YouTube Live, please start typing into the comments, and we have some dedicated staffers who will be documenting your names as you punch them in, and those cards will be entered into the raffle at the end.
The same way, if you're watching us on YouTube Live and you have any questions, just type them in the chat. We have additional staff that will document any and all questions that you have, and they'll give them to us at the end of the meeting for us to answer, okay? So don't think you're going to get an immediate response on the chat, but you will get a response to your question at the end of the meeting.
Okay, thank you, Rob. We see a couple of new faces here. How many folks are attending their first general membership meeting? Hands up. That's really great. High. I'm not going to embarrass anyone.
That's great.
But yeah. You know, in this day and age when you can stay at home or stay at work or wherever you are in your car or whatever and tune in remotely, we really appreciate you taking the time to come out tonight, and it's great. It's always great to see new faces and new attendance here. Especially, we've been trying to engage our younger membership, our newer membership, so it's always good to see some folks that are either shorter tenured or younger, quite frankly. It's great to see you getting involved. So thank you. I'd like to introduce our executive board, our rank and file executive board folks that are here tonight. Can you please stand? Because I don't know if, yeah, that's right, Schnar, stand up, buddy.
He was already up, you just couldn't tell.
Oh.
Sorry, Rob.
Man. So I'm going from left to right, and this camera's, you two folks can see back that way. That's pretty awesome. We've got George Roman. We've got Chuck Howard back there. We've got Ray Marrero. Your last name is stumping me tonight. We've got Jeannie Batista. We've got Dan Gleason back there. Hey, Dan. We've got Keith Jefferson. We've got Alicia Boak. We've got Rob Schnars.
We just call him Dirty Greenie.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, we're only missing Artan and Jack. And Jack lives way South Jersey, and Artan lives upstate. So we appreciate the 8 out of 10 rank and filers that are here tonight. These folks make some very important decisions with us. So you should really thank them for representing the way that they do, and thank you for being here tonight, folks. Okay, someone's jingling back there.
Sam, you all right? What was that, the ballerina exit?
That's okay. At this point, I'd like to bring up, we do have one guest speaker. I don't know if he knows he's a guest speaker, but just come on up and address the crowd. From Fusco, Brandenstein, and Rada, they are our workers' comp attorneys. It's Jesse Sigismonti. How did I do, Jesse?
Beautiful.
All right. Welcome, Jesse. Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for having me here. It's always great to be here. Those of you who don't know, my name's Jesse Sigismonti. I'm one of the attorneys over at Fusco Brandon Sciarrata in the Workers' Compensation Department. I say that because we have actually two departments. One, of course, is Workers' Compensation. The other is Social Security Disability claims as well. So, God forbid if you get a career-ending injury, or if you're just looking to possibly move forward and look to retire, of course, you could contact our Social Security Department. They're very great attorneys and paralegals there. For sure that can help you out. But, of course, I'm a workers' compensation attorney. That's my specialty. So that's why I'm here for you guys today, to just talk about workers' comp and just go over the three big things that you all need to know with regard to workers' compensation. God forbid if you get an injury on the job, the first thing, of course, is just to notify your employer. Right away when you get injured, notify your immediate supervisor, your boss, things like that. Notify them right away and be detailed as to your injury. Make sure you know specifically what you injured, how you injured yourself. Make sure they have all that information. Of course, verbally is fine, but even if you could write out a report, an initial report, things like that, just to get that in writing as well. The reason why I say this, of course, is because you have to notify your employer 30 days from the date of the accident. So it's very important to notify your employer 30 days in order to have a successful workers' compensation claim. Of course, you have to file a claim 2 years after your accident. That's something that we can help you out with, but the main thing is notify your employer.
Within 2 years, up to 2 years.
That's filing the claim, notifying the employer 30 days, though, from the accident.
Yeah, you have to notify. So some critical information. Following your accident, God forbid, you have 30 days to notify your employer that you had an accident on the job. And then you have up to 2 years to file.
To file a claim under workers' comp. Exactly.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. And the second thing, of course, is, go see your doctors. Not only see a doctor, but see a doctor that handles workers' compensation, of course. If you don't know a doctor that handles workers' compensation, you let us know. We know of many, many doctors in the area that do handle workers' compensation. Of course, we'll get your information as to where you live. We'll find the closest doctor to you that handles workers' comp. And you do the same thing. You see a workers' compensation doctor, you tell them what your job is, who you work for, how you got injured. And, it's really important under workers' comp that you see a comp doctor, because ultimately that's how we drive your case. That's how we make our arguments based on your doctor's reports and their testimony. So, of course, when you see a doctor, make sure that they do handle workers' compensation. And if you don't know one, we'll let you know. Finally, of course, notify our office if you have any questions or concerns or anything like that, if you think about doing a workers' comp case or a Social Security disability claim. When you contact our office, it's a free consultation. So don't hesitate to contact us. Even if you're not even, you just want to ask a question or two, you guys are never bothered. We love taking your questions, things like that. Contact our office. We're there for you. We want to be there for you, of course. And that's pretty much it. We want to be there. So, and finally, of course, with regards to these comp cases, there's many types of injuries. A shoulder case could be different from a neck case for sure. There's even occupational disease claims where, you don't have a specific accident date, but, you work over the course of many, many years and you develop injuries over time. So those are types of claims that we could push forward with and help you out along the way. Again, any questions, you contact us, please. Don't just feel like, you got injured and, you just brush it off. Definitely let us know and we'll help you along the way for sure. Again, when you contact us, we're not looking for, we don't charge you. It's a free consultation. We don't get paid unless you get paid under your comp case. And again, thank you so much for having us here. As usual, we look forward to these type of meetings. And thanks again. Really appreciate it.
So, thanks very much, Jesse. And it's very critical that 2 years, that 2 year clock doesn't start unless you notify your employer within the first 30 days. So there's some important steps there. Thanks again, Jesse. Okay, I will.
Atta-girl, Gina.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rerun that applause.
Yeah. Is
Keep
there
it
a
on
light
the loop.
back there, like flashing? Take it, it's like a sitcom. So I'll start off with a bargaining report. I mentioned in the minutes, we have an opportunity to meet with our executive board once a month, right? So, and it's not, as Rob mentioned earlier, we only meet with the general membership every 3 months, right? So a lot happens in between there. So with the risk of sounding redundant to the minutes that I read earlier, Whitson's, since our last meeting, Whitson's was a company formerly known as Preferred Meals, was a UPW local 1718 company. They joined the UFCW, became UFCW 1718, and now we are in the process of transitioning a bunch of the 1718 union folks over to local 1500. Since our last meeting that we had, we were able to settle the Whitson's bargaining, and then they ratified on August 11th their first contract with local 1500, and it was a unanimous ratification. So, and about 2 weeks prior to that, they transitioned to local 1500 officially. So that vote was, we've been sharing this duty with 1718 and then with local 888, who's sort of the custodian for them right now until we transition them over. We've been sharing a lot of paperwork and all the postings and such, both of the unions that are up there. So once a bargaining unit or a group of folks that work for a company or a group of stores joins or transitions to local 1500, then they're just like you guys when we post signs. It's just local 1500, and we're very proud to have Whitson's as a part of our family. They were the fifth location to transition to local 1500 from the 1718 world. Since we last met, we were able to settle and ratify Pickwick Manager's contract. For those of you who don't know or may have forgotten, with the Pickwick company that we represent, we have 3 different contracts. We have the manager's contract, we have a legacy contract similar to Dan Supreme, and we also have a new store contract. So, while they were making moves, purchasing stores in the bankruptcy back in 2015, we entered into a new store contract with those folks. But the manager contract, it's a little bit different because those store managers in those Pickwick stores, Pickwick Key Food, are in the union. So we represent them, and it's a tricky dynamic because, as you know, you all have store managers in your stores. So they have to run the store, and they also have to be they're a member also. So it's tricky, and to get through that set of bargaining it's not easy. So. I'm very happy to report that they ratified their contract on June 30th as well. Blank Street Coffee, we've mentioned, I guess, late last year into this year. We've been going along. I don't recall how many locations we've been able to successfully organize, but it's about 150, 160 employees. They're small coffee shops. They're broken into neighborhoods. You may have 4 or 5 of these coffee shops in a particular neighborhood in New York City. So far we've been able to successfully organize 4 out of the 6 4 out of 6 neighborhoods. Okay, and we've been bargaining the initial contract with those folks. It's different. It's different than sitting down with a Key Food or Stop and Shop or King Cullen, ShopRite, where we have existing contracts and we get proposals from you guys on, hey, what do we like to see changed in our contract? And we tweak it, and we go with our list of demands, and the company comes with their list of demands, and we hash through it until we get it done. Sometimes it gets done quickly, sometimes it doesn't. With these inaugural contracts, like Blank Street's never been a union company until now. there's no foundation. There's no contractual foundation where you have like visitation already in there, things that we don't have to address with our legacy contracts. We don't start from scratch every time we sit and meet with Stop and Shop. Visitation and discrimination rights and provisions applicable to your funds. With Blank Street, we are starting from scratch because there's no contract in place. So them and their attorneys have been working together with us and our attorneys and our Blank Street committee of folks that work in the stores. And it's a difficult process because we're literally starting from zero. But we're confident we will get done. We made some progress our last couple of negotiation sessions, and we have another session scheduled for next week, I believe, whenever the 20th is. I'm a little fried. We just got off of an airplane about an hour ago. But we will continue to bargain that contract and continue to look to organize the Blank Street company. Also mentioned in the minutes a bunch of the other companies we're working on, and right now, quite frankly, coffee shops are a hot topic. Coffee shop employees want to see their want to join unions, right? So we, if you've seen Starbucks over the past year or so, it doesn't end at Starbucks. We have many coffee companies within the city of New York and the outskirts, the suburbs, where we're addressing folks out there. And we're going to continue to do it. So wish us well with Blank Street Coffee. Very great group of folks on that committee, very militant, and we love it. And we're going to continue to move on there, and we're going to, we'll report back at the next meeting. Hopefully we have some more success stories to share with you. We're also going to be commencing bargaining at Cedar Market, which is another 1718 shop. And again, this is while these are folks who were in a union before and are in a union, they haven't done things typically the way we do. We've seen some companies that haven't used bargaining committees, so it's just like the union and the company negotiating committee, and we negotiating a contract, and that is not the way we do it. We have a lot of folks in the room that have sat on bargaining committees with us. You know that we try to be as transparent and open as possible with not only the committee, but the entire membership that belongs to whatever company that we're negotiating at that time. It's just a different world at 1718, or it was a different world. And as we said, we're transitioning those members over into 1500. We're learning them, they're learning us, we're learning their employers, we're learning their attorneys, quite frankly, and they're learning our way of doing things. So, we're going to continue to negotiate on behalf of those folks, and our goal is to transition all of the 1718 folks before the end of the year, and that's what we're tasked with doing. That's what we're going to continue to do. I think that's the end of my bargaining report. I'm trying to keep my comments short tonight. So,
All right.
I'm done. I'm going to pass it over to Secretary Treasurer Ali Wadi for her report for tonight. Ali?
Thank you. Try not to kill everyone on YouTube Live.
You won't.
So I want to start with some of the things that I usually report on, a lot of events that happen at the union. And if you guys follow us on social media, you probably saw that Stephanie Andrade, our executive assistant to the president, it's a really long title, it's gotten shorter over the years, had a baby on August 17th. Just want to congratulate her, and if you missed it, she actually gave birth at home. She went into labor in her house, and I just want to commend her for how brave she was. And her sister's here in the room, Carla. Just want to welcome Locali to the family, and wanted to officially say that on YouTube Live. So good news for us. kind of scary, I'm not going to lie, to hear that. She told us after the fact. I think if she had called me during that time, I probably would have freaked out. So I definitely also commend Carla for having that bravery and for having a little one, a second one for her and her family. So congratulations to them.
Yeah. And shout out to the 2 Nassau County police officers that helped deliver her baby in the bathroom of her apartment.
I thought that was Suffolk.
Yeah, Suffolk County, I'm sorry, I forgot she moved.
And tied the umbilical
Oh.
cord.
And
They're
they
gonna tell
tied
the
the
story.
umbilical cord with shoelaces, and if you know Stephanie and her husband, Chris, they were probably Air Jordan shoelaces, so they had
Thank you for that, Joe. The second thing I wanted to report was we had a scholarship breakfast, which we typically do, and it's a really great event. To be honest with you, these are the types of things that our union really lives for. We meet with the students, the recipients, those whom, for the most part, are members, dependents of members, obviously. But it was a really great event. Allie Wright, I think, is in the room. She's one of the recipients of the scholarship. Congratulations to everyone that received the scholarship. But I wanted to especially acknowledge our speaker this year, and Anthony Portese, who was a member of our union for a long time. And Anthony put himself through college and is now an attorney, a very successful attorney, if I may add. And when he spoke, it really tugs at your heartstrings to realize how much the union could represent for someone that could potentially not have the same opportunities and not have the same opportunity to also share that story with others, so that you could see that there's a lot of hope. The union's more than just, the job that you go to, you punch in and you punch out. Most of you watching, most of you sitting here probably already know that. But for me, that was a really personal one. So I also want to thank Anthony for doing that. We really appreciated your kind words. And I think that was so moving that Mr. Waddy adopted a lot of his words for his article in the latest version of our Advocate. So please be sure to check that out. I wanted to also thank the membership and the reps involved in the fishing trip. It was the best fishing trip that ever was. From what I hear, I wasn't there. Maybe that had something to do with it.
Definitely.
But so Jeff, Steve, you were there, Rob?
I was there.
You want to help me out?
Look, all I'll say is this. Every year, the trip gets a little bit more legendary. There were some regulars that were missing, and that kind of sucked. But we were almost at capacity on the boat. The amount of money raised for charity this year on the boat was far superior to any previous year. And just seeing people show up early, everybody pitching in to lend a hand, not just the staff, but the membership that was involved, seeing how many folks bring their family. Quite honestly, it's not a cheap event, but it's an event that's a lot of fun. And I think that everyone who's come really has gets enough out of it where they want to come back the next year, and that's a good thing. And I've issued a challenge 2 years ago. I think next year we actually may be able to cross the threshold and live up to that challenge. I would love nothing more than to see a boat out of the north side and a boat out of the south side of Suffolk County, so that we have membership competing with each other on 2 separate charter boats. Right now, that would be a Jeff boat and a Steve boat. And honestly, I think that's the next step for us to level up, right? It gives us the opportunity to potentially put another 50, 60 people out there on the event. It gives us a little bit more space than we have if we try to jam 80 people on one boat. But also then it creates a little internal membership, a little competition, a little controversy, where you're going to be. And for those of us that are free agents, like me, it gives us the chance to really shake down Jeff and Steve to which boat they want us on. So I think it's, I'm just saying, a lot of Nassau County folks, me and Rich Nelson, are available for purchase. That's all I'm saying. But it was a great trip, and thank you to all of you that participated and helped us out get through it, because it was pretty seamless. So thanks.
I'll be at the next one, okay, Rob?
It will not be as good as this year, then. It's like bringing your mom on the boat.
Oh, no. So the next event that I wanted to report on, since Mr. Santarpia is not here tonight, I think we covered that a little bit earlier. But the blood drive that the union does, we had 2 this year. The last one that we had was also successful. First one was successful. I think we reported on that. I do want to thank you all for everything that you do, no matter who it is, the staff, the members, vendors. A lot of people come through, and even elected officials. And it's something that we had gotten away from, having more elected officials here attending those events. And believe it or not, it's something that we kind of go back and forth on, because it is for the members, and we want to make sure that the right elected officials come. And I have to say that the folks that came this year really made it very worthwhile for us. So we're going to continue to invite them to that and grow our footprint, because if you don't realize this, it's not just about the scholarship and the potential that we're helping our own membership. It's also about sharing the story, as I said before. It's also about helping someone that potentially needs that donation of blood. And the union is there for all facets of life, for us to cover those things. And again, can't do it without you, so we definitely want to make sure that you guys understand that. Moving on to some other business, we do have our shop steward seminar scheduled. We have gotten some questions about that. It is on Halloween this year. The purpose would be so that we have a pretty smooth event. It will be virtual, before you guys ask, which is something that we're looking at for following years. It may be something that we want to go back to in person, and with the recommendation of our board, our executive staff, and the membership, we do believe that that's the better way to go. But we would also like to finish in time for you guys to be able to go home and spend time with your families and go trick-or-treating, because as Rob says, we're not heathens, so we do understand that you may want to do that. On to more serious business, and it is a very serious topic that has been in discussion. There's legislation that's out there that has been put forth for a long time. We've been behind this legislation from inception, whether it's at the assembly level or at the level of the state senate. And I'm talking about shoplifting and the criminalization of those who are actually retaliating to you as staff in the stores that get involved, or a simple disgruntled person or upset person, someone that takes their day out on you. You were put on front lines, and you were given a different status during the pandemic. So there is legislation that says if you are attacked in any way by an individual, and this is the idea, it's not something that's passed, that it would be criminalized. But I also have a different message for you guys. We don't want you guys to get involved if there is a shoplifter. It is not your job to be security in the store. I can totally understand and commend that you are taking ownership and that you are concerned about what's happening in your stores, and someone taking something out of there maybe seems like a personal insult to you or what have you. But you're putting yourself in harm's way. And if you look, don't just take my word for it. You can Google these things and you will see how many times things go the wrong way. And that's our recommendation. We don't want you involved in these types of situations, because it does put you in a really difficult spot. We've had some cases that have gone in our universe, very high profile. And it does take a lot, takes a lot of resources to make sure that you're protected, that it doesn't go further. But look, it's your life, it's your health and safety, and we want to make sure that you're protected. So please think before you act. Is my message to you.
And Stop and Shop is rolling out some guidelines for along those lines for folks to not approach someone they feel is a shoplifter. Okay. There are horror stories across the country. Someone who's working in a store, obviously not a traditional supermarket like most of you guys work in. Oh, I'm sorry. Rob's going to report on that. So
This is what sucks when you go last. I feel,
Next meeting, he's gonna go first. Watch.
This is terrible, between your minutes and now this.
There are some horror stories out there. We're it's a little light right now regarding that, but it's a serious situation. We have folks getting hurt and killed out there.
Look, I'll just cover that part now because it makes sense. I've said it many times. Don't touch them. Leave it alone. I've mentioned that I don't necessarily agree with the assessment that more weapons or armed guards in our stores is a good idea. And the reference that Joe was making, no, it was in a convenience store. But a clerk confronted a shoplifter who was a repeat offender. In this particular case, came back twice within the hour. And the clerk thought it was a good idea to confront the shoplifter with a bat. The shoplifter was much younger and much more physically capable than the clerk. So the clerk got thrown to the ground, and then the bat was turned on the clerk. And the shoplifter beat that clerk to a point where I don't know that he's going to survive or ever be right if he does. You know, it's frustrating to sit there in your store and watch organized retail theft just happen. And we completely relate and we understand. But nothing is more frustrating than not being able to provide for your family because you chose to step in that day. You know, take care of one another. The product will come in the next day on a truck. You can't be replaced. If something happens to you, who's going to take care of your family? Who's going to go home and take care of the dog or the cat or your neighbor? Everybody here does so much more than just come to work, punch a clock, and go home. You need to get to that next stage of your life. And you're not going to get there by confronting shoplifters. And I assure you, they don't look at you the way you look at them. You are an impediment. They will do whatever it takes to get their stage of that process completed. And if you get in the way, they'll remove you. Don't do it. It's horrific for us to get those calls when it's our members. And there are certain situations that are unavoidable, but a great many are completely avoidable. Do the best you can to dodge the ones that are, and we'll do the best we can to prevent the ones that you can't. That's the best message we can give you, and we're going to give it to you every chance we get because we just don't want any more stories. They suck.
Amen. So Joe mentioned earlier about organizing campaigns, and I don't know if you noticed, I kind of looked over at him. Wasn't sure how much he was going to be covering, not only because I typically speak about that, but I did have a mild concern when we started talking about specific names, and I wanted to, especially for those watching online, I wanted to make sure that you understand when we were not live, we would cover the names of the companies we're trying to organize. We do not cover the names to protect the workers that we're trying to organize because we don't want to give the companies a heads up. Anyone in the room or anyone watching that wants to reach out to us and discuss the campaigns, we're happy to talk to you about it. You're a membership. We're more than glad to give you a report more specific to the companies that we're actually targeting. So just wanted to make sure we went over that. I also wanted to kind of tickle your fancy a little bit and have you think about some things. Blank Street came as a lead that came into our office. Everyone here knows someone that works in a non-union place that could actually use some help. Don't think of it as just the potential that they could be a member of a union. Don't think of it as the potential that we could be helping them. Think of it as a potential to be a little bit more, selfish. They could be a member of another union that maybe won't take as good care of them as we would. You know us, and your certification to how committed you are to our union is that you're sitting here tonight. I'd venture to say, as I look around, I see a lot of people that are very happy with their unions from the time that I've spent with you, and that we worked together for a really long time. There are a lot of workers out there that don't know their rights. There are a lot of workers out there that need someone to help them, guide them through the process of what it is to have a union. it is not the same process that it was when I started working here. When I started working here, it was a very different environment. Right now, coffee's hot. It's absolutely hot.
See what you did there?
I stole that from Joe earlier, but labor's hot. And you guys need to recognize that the more members your union has, the more power you have at the table. And, you know, you've heard us probably preach for years and years and years. But it's not only possible, but it's very attainable. We have a group of people here that dedicate themselves to every day talking to workers. That's their job. They go out there and they seek workers out and they speak to them. But I think the best organizers that we could ever have are the members of Local 1500. You guys, every day, go to work, and you are the people that hold us accountable. And you're the only ones that could tell other workers how great it is to be a member of the union or isn't. And I invite you to call us. You can call me directly, and we can talk about it. And I would love to give you guys a longer report. But let's not give those members away to others. I love other unions too. I love to have them here better. The last thing I want to leave you with is we do have a missing staff member tonight. If he's watching, hi Matthias. Matthias is having some health issues. I'll leave it at that. Just would like for you to keep him in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you.
Thanks, Al. So, I kept adding as you kept talking about my stuff earlier, but, all right, a few things, just because I think it bears repeating. For those of you that like to attack us that we started late, we never, ever, ever, ever start the live broadcast at 7 p.m. The meeting here at 425 Merrick starts at 7. As a matter of fact, today I think we started at 7:01 or 7:02. And then when we get our preliminaries done, then we go on YouTube Live. So thank you for your patience, and thank you, because I'm sure when I read these comments later, there'll be at least a handful of you attacking us for being late, as always. No, we're not. So hopefully at some point those comments will go away. All right, so let me just run through a few quick things. For our Pickwick members, Joe referenced there's 3 contracts. The manager's contract was just settled. Rob Ecker and I are putting the finishing touches on the Pickwick Legacy contract and the Pickwick New Store contract. Once we feel that they're at 100%, we will call for a meeting with your employer, review them together, which significantly expedites that process, and then we'll be able to get them out in print. In the last month, we were able to get out Gristedes, D'Agostino's, Village ShopRite, and Fairway? No, Fairway was out. Was it just those 3? So in the last month, we were able to get 3 out. Tomorrow, mid-morning, I have a meeting with representatives of King Cullen to get that contract settlement reduced to writing. It's a lot of changes in that contract. Unfortunately, over the years, a lot of really old, out-of-date language is left in that collective bargaining agreement. We went a long way to try to strip it down so that it's what needs to be there is there. And any clause that may or may not apply to a handful of people, we're going to reduce it to a side letter. Nobody will lose any of those benefits, but to have, a company with 17 or 1,800 members in it and a clause in the contract, or 3 clauses in the contract, in some cases that only appeal to 2 or 3 people, it's just nonsense. So we're going to reduce those clauses to a side letter. They'll sunset when those final folks retire or decide to go on to work in another industry. And then the contract will just get a little bit more reader-friendly for the rest of the membership. So, God willing, we'll get through all the meat and potatoes and the changes with Cullen. If we do that and we can get to a point where it's acceptable, then it's just down to Rob going back and forth with our printer to make sure that it is reminiscent of what our agreement is with your employer. So we have every hope within the next 6 weeks or so to have the King Cullen contract to the printer and then potentially out in your stores by November. So a great many of our ShopRite members got the notification in the mail for the ShopRite class action lawsuit. So, look, we knew about this. It's been in play for a while. Back in 2017 and 2018, the company did an internal audit. We believe that they may have gotten tipped off by either the New Jersey or the New York Department of Labor that they were doing some things wrong. They did an internal audit. They found they had some calculation issues as it relates to pyramiding of overtime, premiums being included in rates for overtime and Sunday time, night crew premiums and the like being included in holiday time. So they did a self-audit. They did a massive payout. At the end of the day, most people got a handful of dollars because it's cents. It's a rounding situation more so than anything else. But a group of workers that were unrepresented went to I'll just say a lawyer. They went to see a lawyer who operates on a contingency. They found another couple of members. Collectively, they found a handful of other rounding errors that were made. They were able to get it deemed a class by a judge. That lawsuit is now being settled by ShopRite. Now, here's the beginning, the middle, and the end of it. You're talking about 58 to 60,000 ShopRite workers, and you're talking about a total class settlement of just about $10 million. The lawyer is a contingency lawyer. The lawyer is going to get a massive percentage of that money. Now, typically, an attorney gets about a third. It may be less than a third. They may get a quarter. They may get 20%. Either way, it's easy to say they're going to get $2 million plus. Then the court is going to agree to allow everyone to hire an administration company to find, process, and mail X number of checks. Every check is going to cost money. So the administration of this settlement is going to cost another $500,000 to $600,000. They're going to be tracking down people's addresses. They're going to be getting tons of return mail. It's going to be a nightmare. And then there's going to be a piece that's left. And for many people, the piece that's left could be less than $5 on a check. And in some cases, somebody could get a check for a few $100, $400 or $500. Because if you fell into that situation every shift, obviously you're going to have a much higher settlement than someone who may have done it once a quarter. It could be your entire 8 hours was impacted as opposed to 2 hours where you worked from 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning because somebody asked you to stay, so you crossed over, and that's where the pyramiding mistake happens. So all I would tell you is, it was a lot. Everybody went batshit when they got the postcodes. Don't go buying any cars or any boats. Don't think you're going to use it to pay for your kids' college education. From my perspective, look, the buck stops here. So I don't like when any attorney does something that takes a class action settlement or takes action against any one of our employers, because at the end of the day, our employers pay all of you. Without them, you guys don't have jobs. I recognize that. I say it all the time. I fight with your employers no different today than I did 30 years ago when I started this job. But in this case, this attorney found a mistake. He found a mistake that we didn't find, that your delegates didn't find, that any of the other local unions in the Northeast found, because again, we're talking about fractions of pennies on a rounding error, but this guy found it. Good for him. Because at the end of the day, if there's a nickel that's owed to our members, we want them to have it. And this is a result of that type of situation. So we're not upset about it. We're not running from it. I'm not embarrassed about it. I'm happy. So whether you get $1 or you get $500, great. That's fantastic. And based on the fact that this went through the courts, I'd venture to tell you ShopRite shan't screw it up again. And if you're wondering why it could impact every ShopRite, it's because ShopRite uses a centralized payroll system or a centralized payroll company called SFS, ShopRite Financial Services. So when they make a mistake for something like that, typically it's across every banner. But it is what it is. In our case, every one of our ShopRites has impacted employees. If you chose to opt out, you're on your own. You'll get a day in court. You can go in. You can argue for more. You can argue however you want to argue it. But you're going to do so unrepresented. It's your obligation to represent yourself. If you don't do anything, if you don't take any action, you're automatically opted in. You'll get whatever the court has deemed is your damages. Okay? It sounds like a hell of a lot more than it really is. It's not. This particular attorney, my understanding is, has been seeking out a large-scale sum settlement from any one of a number of large employers. The dart hit the wall. They got one. And for us, a bunch of our members will get a couple bucks, so that's a good thing. Okay, but that's literally the layman's explanation of what's going on there. If you have questions, our reps have more information on it. Again, not a lot more, but they have some information on it. We sent a 3-page request for information from all of the locals in the Northeast that have ShopRite membership. We believe there's already a list. We can tell everybody what they're entitled to. The company has not released it yet, and they may not have released it yet because I don't believe it's been finalized. But we requested the information. So as soon as we have something, your reps will have it, and they'll be able to tell you whether you're getting something, and if you are getting something, whether it is 26 nickels or, 260 bucks. Okay? So that's the ShopRite situation. Kroger Albertsons kind of reset the world with this merger announcement, and then they had multiple plans in place they had presented to the FTC. At this point in time, they threw a massive curveball, came to an understanding to sell some 400-plus stores to CNS. So I can tell you that 8:30 this morning was the most recent update that we got. Allie, myself, Joe, and Paulson Tarpia were at the UFCW retail conference. They had a class this morning for us with the most recent update. And it's intriguing, right? On the East Coast, we've been through multiple A&P bankruptcies. We went through the A&P Pathmark merger. We've been through the Fairway acquisition and then subsequent bankruptcies after Sterling bought them. We've seen Tops in and out of bankruptcy multiple times. So I think we have a little bit more understanding or patience with a lot of these types of processes. But the locals, especially the locals out west, are really, really, really amped up because this is where the large majority of their membership is. It's in these two companies. There's a massive concern about divestiture and what's going to go. Is it going to be union? Is it going to be non-union? For the record, neither of these two companies is wall-to-wall union. They have multiple banners in multiple areas. They have areas where they have union and non-union stores, Kroger and Albertsons. So when we saw the deal with CNS, well, it's something we're accustomed to. Grand Union went bankrupt in this area, and it was CNS that stepped in, and took over those stores. And then they slowly transitioned them over to other operators that they had wholesale agreements with so they can continue to be the distributor. If you're CNS and a huge chunk of your business is going to evaporate, it's smart money to buy it, maintain it, level it off, and then try to sell it to other folks that are going to buy the groceries from them because it maintains their wholesale business for a longer period of time. They've done it a dozen times in this area. They bought some IGA stores. Our IGA store out east is currently owned and managed by CNS. Tops, when they had the Price Chopper merger, they worked very closely, the CNS group, with their representatives at UFCW District Local 1 up in Utica, to the point where they submitted a letter to the bankruptcy judge saying, please approve them to buy these stores because they agreed to come in, they agreed to adopt the contracts, and they worked with the union. Now, long term, does CNS want to stay in the grocery business? We haven't seen that. Our experiences here have been in a period of 8 years or less, they've sold those stores off to other bidders, but nobody ever got hosed. They didn't sell them to non-union. They didn't shut them down. They honored the union contracts. They honored those employees, and they did the very best they could by everybody in the process. This is 413 stores, predominantly on the West Coast. So I'm not sitting here trying to make a comparison and say, oh, this is an apples-to-apples situation. It's not. But for us, I think us hearing that it's CNS and not any one of 100 names I could say right now that would potentially immediately give us really cause for concern or pause, I think it's a step in a better direction. The UFCW and all of its locals are still against the merger because we believe it'll have longer-term negative impacts both on the market, on the grocery pricing across the country, as well as their ability to negotiate contracts. I think a lot of times what many people don't see is if you have 5 contracts in an area, you have 5 opportunities to negotiate a very good contract. But if there's this continued consolidation, eventually you end up with maybe 1 or 2 contracts that you're negotiating, and it becomes more difficult to pit one employer against another or to take advantage if you have a stronger membership here than here. And I think the massive concern for all of us at the UFCW is that if Kroger and Albertson were to merge, you're going to have two absolute giants in the business become a mega company. They're calling it a mega merger because that's exactly what it is. Anytime you hear that there's going to be two companies that size merging and up to 600 stores could be divested, and that's okay, that makes you twitch a little bit. That's a shit ton of money. This deal, this 400 some odd stores, is over $2 billion. I mean, it's big bucks. And it's thousands and thousands of UFCW members and their families' lives at stake. So for us, I'll just say from an operational experience perspective, we were happy to see on the paper that it was CNS. But we also don't know if they're going to do the same things in the Midwest and out West that they've done here on the Northeast. On the Northeast, they've sold some distribution centers to Stop and Shop. Stop and Shop went back to direct delivery. So they worked very closely with Ahold to go through that process. But that freed up some cash. Obviously, some of that cash is what they're using here. So CNS has been in business 113 years. Definitely a little bit surprising. There were a couple other irons in the fire that we thought it would be. For me personally, no private equity group, right? No Ukaipa, no BlackRock. Ugh. No Sterling partners who we've dealt with before. And quite frankly, this also gives the group at Albertsons, why can't I remember? There's a majority stakeholder at Albertsons, the name escapes me right now, forgive us. We traveled today, being on a plane, I have a little air fog in my head right now. But that private equity group is going to get their money out of this deal, and they didn't sell anybody down the river to do it. So not having a private equity group be a part of it is definitely a step in the right direction. But I do want to reiterate to all of our membership, we still stand against this merger. It has the potential for significant long-term damage both to consumers and UFCW members and its families. So I don't want there to be any misconceptions in what I said, but many of us here see that note and you go, oh, CNS, we know CNS. You know, if you had any, they were either delivering you groceries or they may have bailed out your company at some point or another. So thank you, Cerebus Capital. That was the name I couldn't remember. So that's where we are with Kroger and Albertsons. So Joe referenced Local 1718 multiple times in his report, and I got to be honest, it's great that it's finally starting to come to fruition. We've added 5 stores to Local 1500's ranks. We only started the transition process in May. We've been servicing these members for just about 2 years now, both first for Local 1718 and then after their merger into 888 for Local 888. And we started with 11. 1 store has dropped off. We've transitioned 5. We expect to easily be able to transition at least 3 more. 1 may give us some pause. But I think the thing you should know about those stores is that we're going to go to war with 1 very soon. And we're going to need this membership to stand up and stand behind us, because we have an owner that has broken every labor law there is, that has disrespected this union, has disrespected the bargaining process, and quite frankly, we're going to punch right in the throat. So, the difficulty for some of these employers is the union that we're replacing, not 888, but 1718, was not a traditional union. It was not one that really serviced its members or took care of it. When we first got involved in this project, they assumed the number of stores that we took was somewhere in the 400 member range. When we're done here, it's going to be over 650 members. That's how dirty the shops were. They weren't even signing people up. One of our current staffers, Izzy, was a member, but wasn't a member. He worked in those stores. He wasn't a member for a long period of time. He can tell you that there were members there that were there 15 years and never signed a union card. And the union that represent them really didn't enforce the collective bargaining agreement or do anything to help its members. So we're really proud to be a part of this process. But no matter what, there's always going to be 1 schmuck in the group. And I'm trying to keep it clean. I see there's a little one there. But there's always going to be 1. And we found our 1. And I assure you, this guy's going to get welcomed into the 1500 family with my size 13. So keep your eyes out. Keep your eyes on social media. As Ali said, there's certain things we won't say in a public forum such as this, because that's just downright stupid. I'm not going to give anybody the right to sue us at a later date. Everything that will be done legally. We have great attorneys. They will advise us. But the time has come. We've tried very hard to work with one of these employers, and he's got to get a lesson. So we're pretty good at teaching. It's been a while since we've taken matters to the street, but that's what's coming. So be aware of it, be ready. There's another employer coming to our area soon that is going to pose a threat to some of these employers. Be ready, because that employer is going to get took up. He's going to get welcomed with an unhappy situation. I can guarantee that as well. So your reps, your service reps, and certainly Paul Santarpi and Jay Scorzelli can give you more information on that. And again, I don't want to get too deep into it, but we're going to need some people that aren't afraid to stand up and walk around for a little while. Cryptic enough for you? Okay, very good. So thank you very much, and let's be ready to roll. Joe referenced the roof issue here. The one thing I liked about moving out of Queens Village is we didn't have to worry about having heat in the summer and air conditioning in the winter, and we didn't have all the bags that hung from the ceiling that directed the water away from the desks and into the garbage pails.
Like a King Cullen produce department sometimes. Am I lying? No, okay.
But in our beautiful Frank Meehan Hall, just like every dwelling and every house, after 10 years, things start to settle, things start to move a little bit. So we're not really sure where the water is coming in. The roof is pretty big, but it's a rubber roof. There's giant HVAC units up there. And unfortunately, Ville-Marie, I think she's probably in one of the other rooms taking the names and the questions, she kind of has a hot tub at her desk. So sometimes it's full, sometimes it's empty, but we routinely have a number of water leaks here. It's an extremely frustrating situation, but we have contracted an engineer to kind of track it. We don't want to just rip the roof on the building. We don't want to take member money and waste it unnecessarily. But I'm not. When it rains, it's supposed to rain outside. It's not supposed to rain inside. And it kind of sucks for us that in this building, after only 12 or 13 years, that we're already dealing with that, but we are. So it's something that we're on top of, but none of us are contractors, engineers, or roof specialists, so we have to try to find some of the right people so that we keep the costs down and address the situation at the root of the problem. So that's where we are. Unless you've been under a rock for an extended period of time, you heard about the horrific situation in Hawaii with the fires. Again, I don't know how much folks really know about the UFCW, but the UFCW has a local 480 in Hawaii. 126 of their members lost everything. And when I say everything, I'm not just talking about their material belongings, not just talking about their homes and their cars. Many of them lost family. Some of them watched their family die. I have the privilege of being on the UFCW executive board, and the president of Local 480 is Pat Liu. Pat's also a UFCW vice president. Pat chose to share a couple of member stories with the board. It was a lot. Horrific. Things you don't wish on your enemies, that these folks had to endure, and they're still going to endure them for a very long time. I think it's really easy to kind of lose track of it because of how far away Hawaii is from us and from the continental United States, but they're still UFCW members. They need our help, and we immediately made a $10,000 donation to their rescue efforts. We have the information. I don't know if we've put it out on social media, but we can certainly put it out on our social media sites tomorrow for any members that want to make a contribution. You can buy more clothes. You can buy another car. You can't bring your family back. You can't bring your loved ones back. And there were a lot of people that had no shot. They had no chance. There was no alarms. You're talking about 3.5 minutes, and something just wiped out hundreds and hundreds of homes. It went from one line to another, and there was just no shot in hell for anyone. It's probably my least favorite time as an executive board member, hearing those stories from Pat. But I also think it's important that I heard them so that I could bring them back to you. I would never even try to retell them, because I think I wouldn't do them any justice. But for members to actually watch their family burn because they couldn't get them out of the house, or they couldn't get them out of the car, or they were blocked in, electrical wires falling all around them. I mean, it's just not something that anyone should have to endure. So I ask that after you post that, if you can find a way to make a contribution, that you do so. I assure you, if God forbid that situation or a situation like that was to happen here, that Pat and his members at UFCW 480 would do the same for us. So, sorry to be so somber, but it's really important, and I think everybody should try to help in any way that they can. So I'd appreciate that. Yeah, good luck following that one. So in the last few weeks, I attended the International Executive Board, and then we attended the retail conference, which we left this morning. Some really important modifications and changes happened at the UFCW leadership level, both at the International Executive Board and then at the retail conference. It doesn't happen very often that an international officer changes, but at the International Executive Board meeting, Sean Barkley, after 45 years with the UFCW, resigned his position as Secretary-Treasurer and decided to retire. A very long overdue and well, that sounds terrible. Very, very long career and a very deserved retirement for Sean. We wish him well. Sean was immediately replaced as Secretary-Treasurer by Milton Jones. Milton is another individual who's been with the UFCW over 30 years, worked every position all the way up, now to Secretary-Treasurer. When he was promoted, he was the National Director of Bargaining. So as it all happens, there's always, as you have one opening, it cascades to fill it. Milton was also on the executive committee. The UFCW has an executive committee of 5. It's the president, the secretary-treasurer, and the recorder, and then typically the president, secretary-treasurer, and then 3 executive vice presidents. So in this case, Mark made Lori Werner the executive assistant to the president at the UFCW and the first woman now to be in the executive committee of the UFCW. And then he backfilled the national director of bargaining with Region 8 Director Brian Wynn. Brian Wynn has a pretty significant pedigree with the UFCW. His father, Bill Wynn, was president of the UFCW after the merger in 1979 between the retail clerks and the meat cutters. And then A.J. Morissette, who's no stranger to us at 1500. He was a Region 1 organizer and a Region 1 organizing supervisor for an extended number of years. He worked here on our Target campaign as well as a few others, very closely with Allie and her staff back in the day. He was promoted to be the director in UFCW Region 8. So a lot of changes, a lot of very, very deserved promotions, and obviously one very significant retirement. We felt it was important that you should know that. And we wish all of those folks well in retirement, and congratulations, and we wish them well in their new positions. So if we could just give them a round of applause. I can tell you that the retail conference, in a nutshell, was all about organizing. And, to kind of dovetail in a little further to what Allie said, I think sometimes our members really don't look at all of the options and all the opportunities for our union to represent workers. We don't just represent supermarket workers anymore. Retail in any capacity, food, non-food, fast food, retail, any of it, all of it, is in our purview to do. It's certainly within our wheelhouse to handle, and it's certainly something that we would not shy away from if an organizing opportunity arose. We're organizing. There were a number of coffee companies referenced earlier, and I agree with Allie. We're going to leave them nameless for this part of the conversation, but some of those shops only have 2 or 3 locations, and a total number of workers, 15, 16, in all 3 locations. We represented Dairy Barn here for over 30 years. At one point, we had over 60 Dairy Barns. I don't think we ever had more than 400 or 500 Dairy Barn members because there was only a handful in each location. This union was built on small fruit stands. I have upstairs in my office, and Michelle's probably thanking God that I haven't asked her to keep going. But I have a box of old contracts that probably weighs as much as me for shops where we had 2 and 3 people. And that was the lifeblood of this union. That's how this union started. So we do not shy away from campaigns because they're too small or because it's not a supermarket, so why would they want it? That's not who we are. That's not our identity anymore. And the drive in the labor movement has been in coffee and in bookstores and REI, which is an outdoor company. This incredible movement is going to be here for as long as we can keep the fanning the flames and keep them burning. They're a different type of worker. They're not a traditional grocery worker. These are workers that want to be involved with their process from the day it starts until the day it's finished. And it's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity for us. It's a great opportunity from them. We're learning from our new members at Blank Street Coffee. We're learning from our members at PD Spies. We're learning from our members at Gourmet Garage and Gourmet Glot and Pomegranate. And it's a good thing for all of us because their density increasing only makes all of our lives that much better. It gives us all an opportunity to grow the movement. It gives us all an opportunity to grow dignity and respect on the job, regardless of whether you're selling French fries or you're selling groceries. There's no different to us. A worker is a worker, and every worker has a right to be respected on the job and to be represented. So for us, don't just think the way you usually do. Don't just think about, well, my kids don't work in a supermarket. If there's an opportunity, we want the opportunity. Okay? So let's not pigeonhole ourselves or pigeonhole our union as we go through the process. Before I do the questions and answers, if there are any, that'll give my guys an opportunity to run in here with a piece of paper. I do want to just say, the 17-18 stores have given us an unbelievable exposure back to the kosher industry. And, we were very, very involved in the kosher industry for over 30 years at this local union. And unfortunately, when we lost Supersol, which was our largest employer back in the day, we kind of got out of the kosher supermarkets and we got out of the kosher industry altogether. We are now knee-deep in it. And it's an industry that we continue to learn about and we want to continue to grow. And quite frankly, I have a Christian calendar and a Jewish calendar next to my desk so that we make sure that we don't miss any opportunities to show the proper due respect for our Jewish members and for our new Jewish ownership partners. So in the next couple of weeks, if you don't know this, there are 3 very high holy Jewish holidays coming. So I want to wish all of our Jewish members and our Jewish owners a happy Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot. Okay? Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Just one. We must be getting better because we only got one question. Either that or everyone's as tired as we are. From Jacob Gerbino from Stop and Shop 551, are there any updates on the Gatorade Pepsi situation? Jacob, the only thing I can tell you is we're still monitoring if there is any loss in hours in this situation, but we have no ability to control Pepsi's distribution. We've done everything we can to try to make sure that if there is a loss, we can document it and file a grievance on that loss, but they're not going to change. They're not going to get Pepsi to cave in and say, oh, okay, union, you can go back to packing out Gatorade. I don't see that as a possibility, but we will file a grievance, class action, or otherwise independently if it's necessary, if there are an undue amount of hours lost as a result of this shift. But as we said, that the nights that we did discuss this, we've also had a number of products that were always vendor come back into our warehousing that we weren't even aware of, some of these historical companies. So at the end of the day, it's not something we know to be a major problem today. Jacob, if you think differently, by all means, please make sure 551 is who? Please make sure Jeff Guardado knows. He'll get me the information, and I'll be happy to talk to you further if we need to. Okay? Any questions from anybody in the crowd? There's obviously quite a few new faces here tonight, so it makes me very happy. And if you don't want to ask the question, stand up and ask it, that's fine. You can always approach one of us after the meeting, but will you zip it? Desmond, always you. You get to be, see, what's funny is, look at him. He's not an old guy. He just looks like an old guy. And he's giving me a lot of these grays right here that used to be browns in my beard, but no, in any event, if any of y'all have a question in the room, we'll take it now. Seeing none, I'm going to turn you over to the faithful Waddies, and they'll try to give somebody some gift cards.
Cool.
All right? Thank you very much, guys.
So before we go into that, we have
What do we have? We have something else?
Ralphie and
Oh, we got a raffle.
Yeah, we got,
All right, let's go.
We have
Get
a
the raffle.
Raphael. We have a Raphael.
we have 2 baskets,
Okay.
and we have
We're live.
Steve's.
Okay.
50/50.
You got the names?
Do we have the little sticky notes that I can put on?
I'm gonna write it on the back of here as much as I can.
So,
I I'll guide you through. Well, I'll grab the card. Okay. And I'll help you.
You want me to write it?
Marge is here. We're in person.
Yes, those are the Raffles, yep.
These are in persons.
And these are,
These are in persons.
okay, so we do those first.
You want them in that box?
We can, and then we could dump them all together. You want to do that first? Or you want to do this first?
Let's do this first.
Come, step right up. You want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, guys.
Oh!
Order.
So I think most of you in this room know about this, and in
Hey, guys.
Suffolk County, we did a cash 50-50 to raise money for Autism Speaks in our charity fund. The final count, the prize money is $1,555. So we did good. We raised a lot of money for charity, and somebody's going to win a lot of money. Come on up here, little one. You can pick the winner.
Bring it right back.
Stay in front of the camera.
Stay in front of the camera.
Come on,
come on.
Come around.
Be afraid of that bearded monster.
Yeah. Unless you work in the store. All right. Give it a good shake. Reach in there and just pick one, okay? Got it?
There it is.
And the winner is Jackie Lumley. Stop and Shop 551. Is she here?
Wow.
Congratulations.
Make sure you point out his head.
That's it. $1,555 is the prize.
You want to do Ralphie's
That's the half?
two baskets?
That's the half.
Oh,
Yep.
Okay. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we
Got
did
two
good.
baskets.
Ralphie's got two baskets. Where's Ralphie? Somebody help Ralphie back there.
Help him out. Let's go.
You want to bring the baskets?
Bring them up front. Somebody help Ralphie.
Anybody.
Come on around. Right here. We're probably killing him on the mic right here, but
Oh, sorry.
that's okay.
Okay.
All right. So, all right. So I was just raising money for charity.
Oh, we're doing another raffle, everyone.
I guess I could get
How about my hand?
Oh, yeah. She come pick another one.
Come on up. One more time. She's retired? Okay. Terry, come over here.
Come on, Terry.
Pressure's on.
Now, these are raffles that you've been running.
Since the last membership in March.
Okay, so 6 months. It's one.
So for the hers, oh god. So for the hers basket, the winner is George K.
Oh, look at
Come on,
him.
Terry.
Let George pick this one.
Oh yeah, pick this one.
You can't pick George King.
Oh. That issue?
Who's that? That's your guy?
Okay, it's our guy, yeah.
Rich. Oh, Rich Nelson. Oh,
All right, well, two.
Here, George.
yes.
Come on with it. I go, because I'm a 1,500 member.
That's
Thank you.
right.
Nice, Rich.
Bunny, I'm coming home with gifts.
Okay.
All right, let's get this popping. Okay. So
Okay.
I'm gonna mix these up. Tari, I'm gonna ask you since you didn't get a chance to.
You want to call us
Oh, let's just call
What's
Tari.
the
Okay.
last
Oh,
name?
cool.
All right, so these are the in-persons, and these are the. How many in-persons? I got you. All set?
Yep.
Okay, so what we're going to do is since we have people who trekked all the way out here tonight, we're going to do 2 segments of the raffle, which is what we typically do. First, we're going to pick from just the folks that are in person here, and then at a certain point, we're going to dump it all together so that everyone gets a chance to win, okay? So, let's come on here and,
George can't win this
yeah,
one, so.
yeah. Michelle Grotto.
Yeah.
Where are you? There you are. Come on up, Michelle. Come on down.
Come on down.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Just pick one. No peeking.
She knows the drill. Look at her. Here you go.
Thank
Don't
you.
forget.
Thank you.
All right, Michelle. Nice.
Okay, Crystal Deladera. Did I do that right?
Yeah.
Come on up, Crystal. King Cullen 23, Bay Shore. Please pick one and congratulations. And this is for you. This is for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Christina Rojas. Yeah, getting some winners here tonight. Just tell me when to switch
She
over.
said about time.
Oh, shoot. Congratulations.
Thank you. Oh, and I get to pick.
Yeah, don't look.
Yeah.
Just one. You got one?
Yep.
This is 4, right? Here you go.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Santos Mendoza. Santos. Come on up, Santos.
Don't be shy.
Yeah, don't be shy. Congratulations, Santos. Thank you for coming. That's for you. And please, pick one here. Tell me when to stop this.
I'm
Just one?
still got more.
Okay. Onassis Abundis Arzetta. The high five on the way down. Congratulations. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Take that.
Take
That's
that.
for you, and don't look.
How many you got there? That's 5.
Yeah, that's fine.
Jordan Flores. Stop Shop 2565. Jordan, how are you? Thanks, buddy. And another one of these? Marge Clerico. Where's Marge? There's Marge. One more?
Yep.
Hi, Marge. How are you? Thank you for coming. Don't look. Thank you. Paul Martino. Paul. All right. Store is Stop and Shop 2584.
Very good.
And now we're gonna mix them
Yep.
all together. Hold on, Paul. Hold on. Don't go too far
That
away.
was 8.
Now we're gonna mix all of these up together. Mixing them up. Am I killing the mic? Killing the mic, right?
A little bit.
Sorry, folks.
Come on, Joe.
Sorry. No complaints, right? People are like,
Oh, they're gonna
No
do
peeking.
No peeking.
all right. Kathy Brawley, King Cullen 55.
Yay!
Watching. Sorry.
Uncle Des, go pick 2.
Okay, Des, come on.
I didn't say grandpa.
Mix them up with your fingers and pick 2. Don't look.
There.
You said 2? Just
2. Not 2 on.
1 and 1.
I got you, Matt.
Yeah. That's 2?
Yep.
Okay.
Let's see.
Diane Mancini, King Cullen number 7. Rich Nelson. Yeah.
Damn,
Rich is cleaning up today.
Rich, I win
only-
everything, Nelson.
He's a winner.
How many you want to pick? 2?
Look at you.
Rich,
Pick 2.
pick 2, please.
We have 4 more.
One?
Just get one from the bottom.
Yeah. It's a good plan.
I think that's one.
That's
4 more.
Yes. Okay. Matthew DeMarchis?
Yeah, Matt.
Somebody got Matt.
He gets a good score.
SRS 202. 202 is Roten, right? And Carolina De La Cruz from King Cullen number 8. Yeah, how many is it?
Congratulations.
Quick 2, please.
This is for Carol.
That's 1. And that's 2. Thanks, Matt. He's serious about it. Okay. Is that Sebi Shabani? SRS 293? Sebi, yeah, we can still clap. Yeah, we can clap. Sebi Shabani. And Stan Yonik. Stan, where are you? Stop and Shop 546, Port Wash.
And that wraps it up.
That's it? Okay.
That's it.
Well,
We gotta close the meeting out.
oh, hold on. Whoa.
Wait, we gotta close the meeting out.
Thank you.
So I just, we have a motion to adjourn?
No.
Yeah. Next meeting is December 13th, okay? We want to get into the habit of reminding folks when the next meeting is, so you could put it in your calendars tonight for December, okay? We thank you for coming out, and we do want to thank you in advance for all of the work you're going to do through the holiday season, right? You guys all make the holidays happen. So, thank you very much. Now I'll take a motion in a second to adjourn. I see Chuck Howard and young lady in the back. Yell your name out. Christina.
What store? What store, Christina? And last name?
She won.
Christina,
She won
hold
one
on
of
the
the
raffle.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye! Opposed? Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Christina.